So now we got the president mobilizing the National Guards to help the local PDs with the crimes in DC. So simple. Like it makes you think what took so long for this to happen. The crimes in DC is ridiculous and it needs to be stopped. Just common sense. Let's take a look at Jesse Waters' Primetime to see what he got to say about it, because the mainstream media, the fake news, don't report on this. And we got to talk about it. This president is doing the most. Sending in the national troops, that's crazy. We're going to see crimes decline now. So again, it's like watching a real life movie. But let's take a look at the video. Insane. By the way, welcome to Verbal on Life. My name is Noel. And I got to talk about all this crime because, I mean, I got black sheeps in the family. You know, shout out to my cousin, Jay Smith, with Boxing Center on Boxing Center on Jay Smith. He got a YouTube channel. The man, he used to be a criminal, black sheep of the family, ended up getting deported. And now, at first he was happy, but now regrets it because it is what it is. When you commit a crime, you have to just go with the punishment. But let's take a look at Jesse Waters' Primetime. Remember to give this video a thumbs up and a like. And let's get to it because people are just going crazy about Trump helping DC end this crime.
So welcome to a special edition of Jesse Waters Primetime. I'm Brian Kilmeade in for Jesse. Now the news. Trump's redecorated the country and he's starting in the Capitol. But before he can clean up crime, he needs to shift some things around in the White House itself. The president reportedly moved President Obama's portrait to a staircase that no one really uses. Portraits of George W. Bush and his dad also relocated, not sure where. Sources say Trump is directly involved in every change at the White House, no matter how big, no matter how small. The improvements are so apparent, even ABC picked up on it.
The transformation has been gradual and unmistakable. Here's what it looked like in November when Trump visited Biden after the election. By February, some golden urns on the mantle. April, gold adornments appear on the walls. By July, it's gold everywhere. Just this week, more scaffolding popped up. Even more new gold trim appeared. The room where presidents have long struggled with the big decisions has never looked so golden.
But there's one spot that isn't getting a renovation anytime soon. That's the press briefing room.
You're building the big, beautiful ballroom. Yeah. Could we build a big, beautiful briefing room?
Yes.
Technology, more seats.
I don't want to do that. I don't want you to be comfortable.
Trump's okay with making D.C. a little uncomfortable, but he doesn't want to make it unsafe. And that was the focus of today's presser. The president's taking over D.C.'s police force for at least a month and deploying the National Guard to fight crime.
I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse.
It's crazy that they don't report enough how bad it is in DC. But everybody knows DC is bad, but only those who knows. You have to go visit the place to see how horrible it is. Because they never reported on national television, but now it's getting national attention.
This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. You people are victims of it, too. You're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed.
How can anybody be against the idea that we're going to make the streets safer? Safety is so important. Only the people who doesn't have to worry about it, don't think much about it, but the truth is communities, society got to be safe. So this has to be number one.
None of those things. The president's going out of his way to protect the same White House reporters who also call him a dictator. That's some of the nicer things they've said. What a nice guy the president is. And they need it now more than ever. The media is under attack.
I I can tell you firsthand here in downtown D.C. where we work, right here around our bureau, just in the past 6 months, there were 2 people shot. 1 person died, literally 2 blocks down here from the bureau. It was within the last 2 years that I actually was jumped walking just 2 blocks down from here. And then just this morning, one of my coworkers said her car was stolen a block away from the bureau.
So keep all your stats, good or bad. Those are real life stories. DC has been dangerous for a long time. Everyone in the city is looking over their shoulder everywhere.
I've been in DC about 12 years, gotten a little out of control, especially in the summer. U Street has just become a mess with teens out late causing ruckus.
Right now, we're not safe. Kids and the teenagers doing everything.
Okay, we need all the protection that we can get in the city because the city is really getting dangerous. A person like me at this age, I have to make sure to come home before sundown. If you get out the subway, you're scared that they're going to take your purse. It's just dangerous.
Real people, real stories. Now, DC's U.S. attorney, who you might know as our judge, says teen criminals are to blame.
I see too much violent crime being committed by young punks who think that they can get together in gangs and crews and beat the hell out of you or anyone else. I can't arrest them. I can't prosecute them. They go to family court and they get to do yoga and arts and crafts. Enough.
Crazy.
It changes today.
I hear you and hope it does. The White House wants to lock up the bad guys and let the good guys do their jobs. That's it. Should be a bipartisan issue, wouldn't you think? Instead, many Democrats are resisting and they're singing about it.
DC is our home. You can have it, Trump. It's our home, so it's our home. So get on out.
Protesters are worried. They're worried that Trump's going to send them to Alligator Alcatraz.
When we say we won't go, that means we're not going to those mass incarceration, into their prisons and enslavement. We won't go into their ICE, those what he called his beautiful centers that he got. We won't.
I wonder who's paying these people to go out to do this, to talk like this. There's got to be some money involved. Because why are these people protesting safety, to making their community safer?
Go to where alligators live. Hell no, we won't go.
Hell no, we won't go to Alligator Alcatraz. It doesn't ring heavily. It doesn't ring true, but it does ring true. Trump isn't sending anybody anywhere, unless, of course, you're an illegal alien or a migrant or committed a crime. That sounds like civil war, though, to Maxine Waters.
Focus those cameras on everything that's going on, because this president is trying to lead us into what could be called a civil war.
Yes. Democrats can't decide whether Trump is kicking off a civil war or just trying to distract us.
How much of this is about grandstanding, is about Donald Trump just bashing cities because this is another point of distraction for him with the Epstein files, with anger that he has domestically over this meeting coming up with Vladimir Putin? There's a lot of things that he would like to distract us from.
Angry about meeting Vladimir Putin? He called the meeting.
Yeah.
But what's happening in D.C. is not a distraction. It's an embarrassment.
It's embarrassing for me to be up here. I'm going to see Putin. I'm going to Russia on Friday. I don't like being up here talking about how unsafe and how dirty and disgusting this once beautiful capital was.
So the president's wiping down America's front door.
My father always used to tell me, I had a wonderful father, very smart. And he used to say, son, when you walk into a restaurant and you see a dirty front door, don't go in. Because if the front door is dirty, the kitchen's dirty also.
Like one time I drove down to DC and you see the worst. You see homeless people. You see people on the street begging for money. And it just looked scary. Like, are you serious? The capital of the United States, this bad, crazy.
Same thing with the capital. If our capital's dirty, our whole country is dirty.
An analogy, right? Democrats never notice the dirty front door. There's only one victim they can see, and that is themselves.
Hey, Jen, people ask me as a journalist, are you worried about the way things are going with this administration, them coming after you and all that kind of stuff? And I think whatever my answer is, it's like double for you, right? You're a journalist and you were in the administration. Just occurred to me. I need to find out if you're scared, because if you're not scared, then I'm good.
She got
You know, I try not to be.
You're right.
Hey, Jen, you shouldn't be. Jimmy Kimmel's so scared he's drafting an escape plan.
I did get Italian citizenship.
You do?
I do.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I do have that. And what's going on is as bad as you thought it was going to be.
Way worse.
It's so.
Anybody that talks about leaving the country should just leave. Get out of here. Because then those are the people that are going to be coming back, feeling bad that they left. So get out of here.
So much worse. It's just unbelievable.
What country are they living in? What is so much worse? Their party is running scared, and no one's even chasing them. They're lost. They're confused, protesting all the wrong things. They don't have a leader to set them straight. But man, are they looking.
I've watched you for a very, very long time. You're obviously still full of vigor and intensity for the things that you're passionate about and have been.
Let go Bernie Sanders. That's it. The man is too old. We need another young Bernie Sanders, but not this old man. Come on now.
For decades. Is there another presidential run in you?
Oh, God. Let's not worry about that. I am going to be 84 years of age next month, as a matter of fact. So I think that speaks for itself.
Yes, you can't be president at 84. Journalist and author of Second Class, How the Elites Betrayed America's Working Men and Women, Batya Ungar-Sargon, joins us now. Batya, as we played and ran through all of today's events, and over the last few weeks, have you noticed a pattern?
Thank you so much for having me, Brian. It's great to be here with you and with all of your viewers. Yeah, there's this amazing pattern where Donald Trump says something like totally obviously true. And the liberal media calls him a fascist or a Nazi. And then it turns out that, 3/4 of the country agrees with him, but they never admit it, Brian. They never say, oh, we got it wrong. They then immediately transition to saying, well, everybody knows that. So we saw it, for example, with the border, when Donald Trump said, excuse me, we can't just have millions and millions of illegals pouring into this country. They called him a fascist. Turns out the majority of the country agreed with him. But instead of saying, oh, we were wrong about that, they immediately transitioned to, well, obviously we need a strong border, but Donald Trump is going too far. They did the same thing with NATO paying its fair share. They did the same thing with deporting criminals. And now the whole cycle is starting again with crime. Donald Trump shows up and says something obviously true. You should not have to worry about getting carjacked on your way to work. By the way, Brian, these kinds of crimes obviously disproportionately impact poor people, working class people, Black people, Hispanic people. But let's set that aside, okay? So this is an obvious thing. So what does the media do? They immediately start calling him a fascist. It's fascism to try to defend citizens in the streets of the Capitol. But honestly, Brian, I think this cycle is going much faster because I feel like you can tell that even the journalists are secretly relieved that they're not going to have to worry about crime anymore.
Yep.
Why do you think that press room was so packed today? Because you didn't have to tell them. I want you to see this graph right now. I don't know if we've got you a monitor, but this graph just shows our murder rate in Washington, D.C. in 2024 compared to other cities.
And they like to say that it's actually down compared to previous year, but it's still high. What are you talking about? It's down, but it's still high.
Islamabad, worse in Washington. How about Ottawa, worse in Washington? London, they say crime's going up. It is 10 times worse in Washington. In Bogota, Colombia, worse in Washington. Mexico City, same thing. So whatever you think, maybe in certain elements, in certain categories, it's getting better, but none of it's acceptable. But Batya, here's the rub. Everyone in that room knows it, because they themselves have felt threatened. They have family members threatened. And you have people getting shot in all different, carjacked in all different places that we were told in the past were safe.
You're absolutely right, Brian. What's different about this is it has been specifically carjackings that have risen in DC, and it's come for the over-credentialed elites sitting in that press room. Usually people like Sarah Silverman and Jimmy Kimmel can just sit around and get citizenship elsewhere and buy homes in protected neighborhoods and just, force their terrible policy on poor people who can't escape, and working class people have to live with the consequences. But this time it came for the elites, and they are secretly relieved that Trump's doing something about it.
And I think this is just the second city. The first one was Los Angeles. But I think it's going to happen in Chicago. I think it's going to happen in Baltimore.
And it's great because if there's a problem and they present it to Trump, he tackles it. He's like, what's the problem? Let's go. Government got to fix that. Because there's things that only government can fix. He's government and he's fixing it. I mean, let me know what you think. Comment down below. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up because it's amazing what this man is doing, Donald Trump.
Is the president really upset about the chaos he saw in his first term? And he's not going to take it in his second term, but it's to benefit us and no one else. Batia, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Our next guest lost her brother to the streets of Washington, D.C. Eric Jackham was a congressional intern who was shot multiple times in June of this year, just 1 mile from the White House. He died the following day in the hospital. The president spoke about Eric and other D.C. victims earlier today.
In June, a 21-year-old congressional intern was tragically killed after being hit by a stray bullet in a drive-by shooting. A former Trump administration official named Mike Gill, fantastic person, was murdered last year in cold blood in a carjacking blocks away from the White House.
That's crazy.
We all knew him. Great person. And in 2023, an aide to Senator Rand Paul was stabbed in the chest and head by a demented lunatic as he walked down the street, just absolutely for no reason.
So these are real life stories, and here's a real life victim. Angela Tarpinium Jackham joins us now. It was her brother that lost his life because he wanted to intern in Washington, D.C. What was your reaction when your brother his incident was brought up by the president today?
It was very touching that he took the time to mention my brother along with all the other victims that have been affected by crimes in D.C. I am grateful for the president for mentioning him and all of them. I think it was very important, and it really touched home that these are people. My brother is not a number. All these people are not numbers. They are humans. They are brothers. They are interns. They are coworkers. They are friends, godsons, grandsons. They are not just a number.
Angela, if I'm in the military and I'm doing special forces work in Africa, trying to take down terrorists, if I'm in a Ukrainian military person, I understand the danger, and it's still tragic when anyone loses their lives. But when you're interning in Washington, a block from the White House, your life should not be in danger. How horrible has this been for you and your family? Can you wrap your head around what happened?
I honestly still can't believe it. It's like a living nightmare that we just can't get out of. I mean, 10:30 at night, you should be able to go out and get dinner and go to a McDonald's and get your dinner and come home and be safe. 10:30 is still a normal hour for a lot of young people. It's not like he was out at 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, it was early. And, it's hard to wrap my head around. This could happen it happened to my brother, but it could happen to any other intern or any other person. And it's continuing to happen. So, we need to step up as a nation. It's not a Republican Democratic situation. We need to take on this as a nation.
Angela, just real quick
and
for the
stop
audience.
The crime.
I mean, he was not the intended target. He was caught in some crossfire, and we still don't know who the shooter was, right?
We do not know who the shooter is, or the shooters. We don't know. There was more than one person on the street shooting.
So I can't tell you how many people I know in Washington have been there and said, oh, my goodness, it is dangerous. There's 1 minute you feel safe and the next minute you don't. If you're on the subway or on the streets, I understand it. But you know who doesn't understand it? A guy that should, who works there full time. Listen to Chuck Schumer.
If people are afraid to come to D.C., go to Disney World, get fat, eat French fries. I don't care. I've lived here 37 years. I am not afraid. I live in the city. I'm not afraid of this city. If you're afraid, go ahead. Leave your fear someplace else.
Well, that's Chuck Schumer's chief of staff. Your reaction to him saying, go get fat at Disney?
I think that was very uncalled for. My brother was an intern working. He's not going to Disneyland to get fat. He was going to intern to help himself to make better changes for the nation, not just for himself. A lot of these kids go to DC on these internships. They're 19 to 25 doing these internships, whether it be with politicians or lobbyists, and telling them to go to Disney World, that's not going to help them further their career and make themselves have a better life by riding some rides at Disneyland and eating a churro.
And Angela, lastly, what should we know about Eric?
Eric was a great, great, great human being. He was a very, very humbled, person, and the nation is sad to have lost him. We miss him so much as a family, and I know, his coworkers, other interns, miss him as well. I mean, it is horrible what happened, and we want no other family to have to go through this ever, because it is purely, purely, purely hell, and it's just heartbreaking, and no one should have to go through this ever, especially, something that's preventable.
Right, and that's what the president's point was
But
today.
Eric was a great person.
Absolutely.
And he is truly, truly missed by all.
And you must be proud that you're out there speaking about him at this very tough time. Thanks so much, Angela. So sorry for your loss. We'll be right back. So the whole world will be watching in Alaska this weekend on Friday, where Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump will meet for the first time since he became the 47th president of the United States. Now, Friday's Alaska summit should be a major step towards ending the war in Ukraine. Everybody's fingers crossed, at least in the Western world. But there is no guarantee. Is Russia finally ready to play ball? Donald Trump says he's going to feel Putin out.
This is really a feel-out meeting, a little bit. And President Putin invited me to get involved. He wants to get involved. I believe he wants to get it over with. Now, I've said that a few times, and I've been disappointed because I'd have like a great call with him, and then missiles would be lobbed into Kiev or some other place, and you'd have 60 people laying on a road dying. I said, that's cold. That's cold. But it's a violent war.
So Donald Trump has been trying to bring an end to Joe Biden's war since he came back into office, and he's letting Vladimir Putin know that the time for games is over.
I'm going in to speak to Vladimir Putin, and I'm going to be telling him, you got to end this war. You got to end it. And he wasn't going to mess with me.
Trump is the top negotiator. So it's going to be a great negotiation. This Friday is going to be amazing.
But the deal maker in chief says he isn't worried about getting the runaround from Vlad.
In the first 2 minutes, I'll know exactly whether or not a deal can be made.
How will you know that?
Because that's what I do. I make deals.
So the left doesn't care about bringing an end to the bloodshed, it seems. They're already calling the meeting a failure 5 days before it happens.
He is coming to America to meet with an American president. Is that concerning?
Yes, it's all very concerning. I think it's all good that they're meeting. If we could get to a point where the fighting stops and there is a deal to be had, I think it's a pretty good. I think it's
that's
progress.
a lot of ifs. And to
Well,
say
they have
that,
to sit down in order to do that. If you just
CNN is trying their best, their hardest to make it seem bad. The media hasn't even happened, but they're already talking negative about it, how bad it's going to be. But we all know fake news is just straight lying.
well, he shouldn't be meeting with them. I think it was ludicrous.
So the president has been ending wars all around the globe really since January, but it doesn't matter how many conflicts 47 resolves. His biggest haters will not give him any credit.
Does he deserve some credit, though?
Yes.
He's had a string of what seemed to be legitimate foreign policy
A lot.
successes. You had the Azerbaijan-Armenia deal that was announced at the White House.
One.
He helped broker the agreement between Congo and Rwanda to stop the fighting there. He also helped to broker the agreement between Cambodia and Thailand. I mean, they're talking Nobel Peace Prize. I don't expect you to endorse the Nobel Peace Prize for Trump, but doesn't he deserve some credit for all of this?
Well, I don't think what he has done materially changes the situations in any of those circumstances.
So disappointing. The head of NATO isn't letting all this noise get into his head. He says Donald Trump's doing a great job.
Is there a risk that something is agreed to here that rewards Russia for its invasion of Ukraine?
No, I don't think that risk is there. We have seen President Trump putting incredible pressure on Russia. So this is all clear evidence that President Trump is absolutely adamant to bring this war to an end.
So if you're not blinded by TDS, you see that President Trump is making massive strides, I should say, to bring peace back to Europe. Even MSNBC can see it at times.
I think the first thing I'd say is that I applaud President Trump's efforts to end this war. This, as he says, this war is a bloodbath.
Yes.
Far too many people have died. And if the United States, through its power and influence, can bring an end, that's a good thing. No question about that.
Dave Ignatius is experienced a foreign policy reporter as anyone in the country. That says a lot when he said that right there. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo joins us now. Mr. Secretary, are you glad there's a meeting on Friday?
You better say something.
Brun, I'm very glad there's a meeting, and I think the way this has been sequenced for the president's first months in office makes this timing absolutely perfect. President Trump has put real pressure on the Russians. That's why Putin's talking. There's a good reason that Joe Biden didn't get asked for a meeting with Vladimir Putin. He didn't need to. He could continue to roll. Putin knows that he's played out the string. He might try to stiff President Trump on Friday, 96 hours from now. I'd be very surprised because the cost to him, if he does that, will be extremely high. So I think President Trump is showing up with an enormous amount of leverage. I'm confident that he will use that to, you heard him say, he'll know in a couple of minutes if there's an opportunity here. But even the Europeans, even that have been fighting alongside the Ukrainians, just as we have been putting resources in there, they can see too. This needs to come to an end. And Secretary General Rutte nailed it. President Trump is the perfect person at the perfect time to bring this war to resolution on terms that are really good.
Yeah. Trump is the one to do it. Oh, sorry. But yeah. Trump is the one that's going to get it to an end, and the man deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. My apologies for the video. Is this thing on? Oh, God. Don't tell me this is not working. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I am trying to get my internet working. I'm seeing here that I only got 3 dashes instead of 2. So let me try to get my other camera on. Your browser has lost connection with your camera. Isn't that a shame? So let me try to get my other camera. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. But the news was so good about how great Trump is doing. Let me see if I can get this working. And shout out to William McCormick writing down his comment about the neglected shame politics over this technical difficulties, as we can see. All right, look, so before you go anywhere, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. My name is Noel, here at Verbal on Life, to trying to create a stream. And my video, I don't know what went wrong with it, but I'm going to continue to talk while this gets fixed, because